So here's a short overview of the capabilities of the instrument drive card I developed for use in flight simulations. This is actually an X-plane simulator. It's PA34, twin-engined, twin things. And all these instruments here are actually Frasca simulated instruments, so they're actually running properly, so there's no projectors or anything. These are TFT screens, and that one's TFT as well, but everything actually works. It's all driven from the instrument drive card, so it all looks quite nice and realistic. The altimeter, for example, the pot is fed back to X-plane to give you the QNH, and then if I change that, then X-plane recalculates what the offset will be for the different QNH values, and that's fairly accurate. Likewise, if I change a frequency, if I can find something to change frequency with, I can change the ADF. So I'll do that, and it parks itself up facing east, which is what it should do when it hasn't got a reading, and then goes back, points towards the correct input when it's found a radio station to look at, to follow. So that's the inside of the aircraft, so everything's working. Down here, the engine instruments, these are DC motors running at given speed. That's a radio control servo instrument, homemade. These two are the same, that's radio control servo, so's that, so's that. And the two EGTs are real instruments, which are driven from pulse width modulation, except that one's a bit stiff. So that's it. All these instruments here have got air core motors in. So that one's air core. That one isn't actually. That's DC motors. This is air core. Those both DC motors, and that's a mixture of a DC motor and two resolvers. The encoders for the 2 pointers, which are driven by separate channels on the drive card. Now, around the front is a bit of a mess. So we've got two instrument drive cards all together, and then down here there's another card that I designed, which is actually a resolver reader. So it'll read the resolvers or synchro position of the Frasca instruments, and then via I2C, which is this link here, it'll pass it back to the instrument drive card, so the card can calculate what the instrument needs to show on the front. So these are all fairly easy to generate and put software in. It's all linked via USB, so these USBs go back to X-plane to provide all the data references that are necessary to make the card operate. The only other thing is the capability of this is pretty universal. So for example, just for fun, I connected this instrument up, and it's actually telling the time. So the right hand dial is showing seconds, my left hand dial is showing minutes, although if I had a third one I could get a proper analog clock out of it, which would be rather fun. But it just shows the capability of the drive card. There's not much in the way of limitations, and it can be made to drive almost any instrument you care to mention.